Hello there everyone, welcome to the channel if you're new, welcome back if you are not. I am EDJ and we're continuing learning about more of Rome's history. So last time we saw about how, the family and calendar are all related to the government and politics. So, overall that was very interesting. Now we're going to be covering about Lupercalia, which I have no idea what this is. So let's find out, shall we? If you want to watch the original video, link in the description down below. Let's learn some history, shall we?
Today, let's talk about my favorite Roman holiday, Lupercalia. Lupercalia was a festival that may have been celebrated for about 1200 years. Let's just let that sink in for a minute. The roots of this festival were ancient, even to the Romans living during the Republic. The festival began on February 15th in the Lupercal cave on the Palatine Hill. In Latin, Lupercal, Lupa, or Lupine simply means wolf. The Lupercal cave is a site where, according to myth, the twins Romulus and Remus, the eventual founders of the city of Rome, were abandoned, later to be found and suckled by a she-wolf. Even after a millennia, the festival always began in the same cave. The ritual itself began as a fairly private affair, with 2 colleges of priests alone in the cave. Each priestly college was hereditary, kept within a family. One college of priests belonged to the Quintilii, who were, according to tradition, descended from the followers of Romulus. The other college belonged to the Fabii, who were descended from the traditional followers of Remus. In a strange quirk of history, the Quintilii, who were the descendants of Rome's first king and the man who eventually gave Rome his name, were actually a fairly obscure noble family. On the other hand, the Fabii, who were descended from the followers of Romulus's slain twin brother, were one of the most famous families in all of Rome.
Wow.
After the 2 priestly families gathered in the Lupercal cave, they would begin with a private feast and lots of wine. After this meal, these tipsy priests would sacrifice several goats and a dog and offer them to the gods. The sacrifice of a dog is noteworthy here. The Romans never sacrificed dogs. If you consider that Lupercalia simply means wolf festival, it doesn't take a stretch to see that the dog was a symbolic stand-in for a wolf. After the sacrifice...
As a dog person, that breaks my heart. I don't like watching dogs get killed or hurt. My dog got hurt a little while back. She's afraid of fireworks, and then she I don't know what happened, but she managed to escape from the house and then got hit by a car, broke her leg, and we luckily got her surgery and she's fine right now. She's in her room and recovering, and overall, thank goodness, But, yeah, I just can't stand watching dogs get hurt, especially, in movies or shows. I'm cool if you kill a person, just don't kill the dog, Oh, man, I don't know. Either way, I get it.
2 young men were brought forward, standing in for Romulus and Remus, and a bloody knife was rubbed on their foreheads. Then one of the priests would immediately wash off the blood with goat's milk. The symbolism here seems obvious. The violent acts of the founders of the city are forgiven and washed away by milk from a simple agrarian lifestyle, which the Romans always idealized. If that was all that Lupercalia was, it would be a fairly conservative, normal Roman festival. Feasts and animal sacrifice were fairly common. However, after the priests left the cave, this festival took on a life of its own. The priests of the Quintilii and Fabii would take the dead goats and fashion whips with their hides. Yes, whips. Then, the priests took off all of their clothes. Some accounts say that they constructed small loincloths out of the goat hide to cover themselves, but others say that they remained totally naked.
Wait a minute. Wasn't Mark Antony involved in this? I'm pretty sure, somewhere in Rome that, he was running around nude. And I think the whips were supposed to, symbolize fertility, and they would kind of, hit women or with it or something. And that was where Mark Antony offered Caesar the crown, I think. That's it. I'm only guessing that because they're talking about being nude and having a whip. But, yeah, was that it? If so, wow.
Plutarch says that they wore loincloths, so let's go with that. The priests from these two families would then exit the cave, still drunk, wearing loincloths, and proceed to run up and down the crowded city streets like maniacs. When the priests encountered people on the street, they would hit them with their newly constructed goat whip. This may sound horrific, but my suspicion is that the whips were never designed to really hurt anybody. They probably made a slapping sound rather than a snapping sound. There's never a mention of any blood or anybody in any pain whatsoever. From all accounts, people actually wanted to get hit. Getting whipped by one of the Lupercal priests was supposed to bring good luck, and make men and women extra fertile, and ease the pain of childbirth. There are accounts of women brazenly running up to the nearly naked priests and intentionally allowing themselves to be hit. Our sources kind of drop hints that they thought this was a bit unsporting. It seems that the onlookers were supposed to at least pretend that the whips hurt, and look like they were trying to get away. By all accounts, the city was filled with laughter the entire evening. It was one of Rome's favorite holidays. And why wouldn't it be? It's my favorite Roman holiday too. These men were famous, drunk, naked, and hitting strange women with pieces of dead goat. What's not to like?
You know, when you put it like that, it sounds insane, but also fun. I did not know that, wow. I mean, yeah, we've heard of this, like, mainly with the whole incident of, I guess, Mark Antony offering Julius Caesar a crown, but I didn't know it was called Lupercalia, and the symbolism behind it. I just thought it was just them being weird. I mean, it still is, but you know, that's very interesting. And yeah, let's
Like.
There's extra about this one. Wait, so we'll just jump to the next video. We're doing it all at once.
Lupercalia was actually the site of one of the most iconic incidents in Roman history. In 44 BCE, after Julius Caesar's victory in the Civil War, he shamelessly ignored hundreds of years of tradition and added his own Julii family as the third college of priests who would run during the Lupercalia.
Wow, talk about disrespectful. But typical Caesar, like, yeah, that sounds like something Caesar would do. And, man, the guts on this man.
Symbolically, this was important, since Caesar was placing his own unimpressive lineage on par with the Quintilii and the Fabii, who were descendants of the followers of Romulus and Remus. Caesar and his second-in-command, Mark Antony, were distant relations, so Antony was selected to lead the Julii College of Priests during the festival. It was during the run with the goat hide whips when Mark Antony, still in his goat skin loincloth, approached Caesar, who was watching the festivities, and publicly offered him the Roman equivalent of a crown. This was abhorrent to Republican Romans, who still feared the re-establishment of the monarchy. Understandably, the act received a cold reception from the crowd. Caesar refused the crown several times, to the immense relief of the onlookers. To his political opponents, though, this was the last straw.
Yeah.
To their eyes, he had pre-orchestrated the entire event in order to silence his critics, while he continued to establish himself as king in all but name. He was assassinated a month later. The Julii clan were promptly eliminated as Lupercalian priests, and the festival returned to normal on the following year. When the Romans first began celebrating Lupercalia, our best guess is that the festival was constructed to honor the early life of Rome's mythic founders, to honor shepherds, to symbolize renewal, and to draw a connection to Rome's idealized agrarian history. By the time the festival had matured, it had obviously become a full-blown celebration of fertility and childbirth. Amazingly, Lupercalia outlived the Western Roman Empire.
Really?
In the late 5th century, Pope Gelasius had a good look at this pagan fertility festival consisting of public nudity, animal sacrifice, and public drunkenness, and banned it, despite its continued popularity. Or rather, he simply replaced it with the festival of the purification of the Virgin Mary. This was effective. Nothing brings an end to ritualized drunken streaking like a festival devoted to the Virgin Mary. It's interesting that although the two holidays are completely unrelated, we chose to place our own little fertility festival, Valentine's Day, on almost the exact same day, February 14th. I can only assume that it has something to do with the end of the cold, dead winter, and the promise of new life that comes with spring. but I would say that Lupercalia is undeniably better.
You know, I agree. I hate Valentine's Day personally. Mainly because I'm born on February 13th, the day before, and it's kind of like annoying, like all the couples around, like, oh my gosh, it's Valentine's Day. It's like, I'm like, ugh, I was born. I'm here, you know, having to listen to all this on my birthday. I'm like, ugh, I wish we could bring back Lupercalia. Lupercalia sounds fun. I would much prefer it over Valentine's Day too. So, overall, yeah, another great fun video or videos from you know, Historia Civilis. That was really fun. I enjoyed that. And would you guys celebrate Lupercalia? Let me know down below. With that said, I'm gonna move on now. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.